Yo, today we're going to be reviewing the next movie on our Toho Extended Universe chopping block.
Of the 1962, a Toho Classic Gorath.
Or as they call it in Japan, Yosei Garasu, which roughly translates to Calamity Star Gorath, or as I've also seen it, Demon Star Gorath. Honestly, I'm going to go with Demon Star, because that just sounds fucking swoof as hell, dude. The movie was directed by the, once again, amazing director, Ishiro Honda, and special effects were handled once again by Eiji Tsuburaya, who has done the special effects for all the movies that we've looked at so far in the Toho Extended Universe. The dude does not get enough respect. Holy shit, he is amazing. This movie is pretty awesome. It came out the same year as 1962's King Kong vs. Godzilla, and had a much bigger budget than King Kong vs. Godzilla. Although, ironically, King Kong would kick this movie's ass at the box office, becoming one of Toho's highest-grossing movies of all time. The next movie is also King Kong vs. Godzilla, and I am beyond excited to review that. That is going to be so much fun. That movie is kick-ass as shit. The version of Gorath that we'll be looking at today is the Kaiju Classics variety, which I am 90% sure is a bootleg. Overall, the quality isn't super high. The actual film quality is... It flip-flops between, like, HD and 4K and, like, 1080p every few minutes, which, yeah, is a little distracting at times. And overall, the quality of the paper used for the sleeve isn't that great. It can be a bit blurry in spots, and if you can even fucking read the text at the bottom, it says the movie was released under the assumption that it was in the public domain and is being done with fair use, which no the fuck it isn't. This movie is not fair use in the slightest. You cannot just release that shit. I mean, I'm thankful, because I can actually fucking watch the thing, because it's really hard to find decent subtitles for this movie in English. But yeah, this is, I'm pretty sure this is bootleg. What's nice though is if you can fucking get the case open, this case is very sticky. It comes with the Japanese version, which, feeling that disc, it's pretty rough. This feels like they just stuck her in a fucking printer, like one of them disc printers. But like, this version feels great, because I'm pretty sure this is just like a repackaged version of the American release. Yeah, this I'm like 99% sure this is a bootleg. But yeah, let's get on to the sucker. Let's review Gorath. This is gonna be fun. The film opens with space and just walls of credits on a starry background, with a score done by Ishii, who does a wonderful job at creating a nice sci-fi soundtrack to the film. The credits in Gorath are only a minute long, though, so it's not that horrendous. Later movies we'll be looking at are not so forgiving. I'm looking at you, Terror of Mechagodzilla, with your 5 fucking minutes of credits. It then cuts to 2 women driving down the road. They stop on the side of the road next to a lake, and are about to go skinny dipping.
Ooh. Don't mind if I join, you know?
Ah, get out of here, Hogan, you fucking pervert.
Come on, man. I am but a humble gooner. It's what I do.
Yeah, and I am but a humble marksman. Now get the fuck out.
Shit, man. Okay, God forbid a guy wants to have a little fun.
The 2 women are Tomoko and Takiko. Before they can go swimming in the nearby lake, they're startled by a flash of light from a spaceship blasting off into, well, space. The ship's captain is Tomoko's father, Raizo Sanada. Tomoko is played by Yumi Shirakawa, who played Kyo in Rodan, fun fact. Takiko's fiancé is also on board the rocket. Takiko is played by Kumi Mizuno, who is an absolute legend in the Godzilla franchise, appearing in several movies, most notably Invasion of Astro Monster as Miss Namikawa, and in Godzilla Final Wars as the EDF commander Reiko Namikawa. This whole fiancé business with Takiko isn't explained very well in the movie, so I'm making a point of talking about it now, although it might just be because I'm an idiot and don't pick up on things very well. That is always an option.
But this fiancé debacle could also be because of my copy of the film, which may or may not be a bootleg. It doesn't have the greatest subtitles. Like, they're accurate from what I can tell, but I don't know enough Japanese to actually tell. I really only know the bare basics.
Domo arigato, Mr. Roboto. Learn that from Styx.
The subtitles also have a tendency to scroll by really fast, and they seem more like a direct translation rather than a localization, which while I appreciate from an accuracy standpoint, I find that the dialogue can be a little clunky at times when reading it. Like most foreign languages besides Pig Latin and Jive Talk, Japanese doesn't translate perfectly to English, and therefore localization is needed in some minor cases. This film deeply needs some localization in some minor cases. This lack of localization is especially annoying since signs are never translated, only spoken words are, which makes things really hard to understand in a where the fuck the characters are kind of way. At least it's not like Godzilla 1984 where they put the fucking subtitles over the original Japanese text and they're the same fucking shade of white, so you have to squint like a goddamn underground mole to make anything out, cause that's not annoying at all. It cuts to the crew of that spaceship, known as the JX-1, looking for a star named Gorath to collect data on, and it's gonna be a long ride. Well, that was the idea until they found out that the bastard's right outside their door like a Mormon. The dude hanging with Captain Raizo here is Takiko's fiancé, BT dubs. Again, stuff is not explained super well. It would have made this character feel a lot more important. He just kind of feels like a weird sidekick for Tomoko's father in this scene. Gorath reportedly has a mass that is 6,000 times that of the Earth's, but it ends up being 1/3 the size of the Earth, making it essentially a really big, really fast bullet made of flames. I really want to applaud the special effects here for the spaceship and this sort of kind of cold open for the movie. It is classic sci-fi through and through. I absolutely love it. Great set and miniature work. The closest we'll ever really get to this again is in Invasion of Astro Monster, where Godzilla and Rodan fight King Ghidorah on the moon. Don't question it, it'll make sense when we get there. The ship starts getting pulled backwards by Gorath's gravitational pull, and the crew realizes that they are going to die. They decide to collect as much data as they can and send it back to Earth before they explode. They may die, but they may also save all of humankind. The scene of them pushing forward and stalling enough time to get the data back down to Earth is one of the best scenes in the movie. Jun Tazaki as Captain Raizo does a great job conveying the gravity of the situation in the most emotional scene of the film. They send their data back down to Earth, and as they do, the ship is sucked into Gorath's maw, killing all 30 of its crew. This number was thankfully given by a news report earlier when Tomoko and Takiko were in the car. Man, I love it when movies give exact numbers. I hope they have that for all the deaths in this movie, and I don't have to resort to guesswork. Hint, hint, nudge, nudge.
Hey, Graxx, got a feeling this is going to be a big one for you. Get ready.
Because of Tomoko and Takiko walking through the streets as a Christmas party is raging on through the streets. Surprisingly, Christmas is celebrated by a lot of people in Japan to this day.
Christmas and Kentucky Fried Chicken. Two American imports that still baffle me.
Everyone is celebrating the upcoming year of 1980, meaning that this film takes place in the future, which is surprising for a Toho Extended Universe movie. Very few of them take place more than a year before or after release. The only ones that I can really think of that do that are Frankenstein vs. Baragon, Rodan, and Destroy All Monsters. My copy of Gorath does not explain this whole future thing well, because once again, signs are not given text, and therefore anything on a printed piece of paper is not given text. So bear with me while I go off of Wikizilla here for a second. The JX-1 launched in 1976 and encountered Gorath in 1979, so I guess after that point this film takes place between 1980 and 1982, as Gorath is projected to collide with Earth in 1982. Like, there are numbers in this movie, so now that I know the context, I get it, but without context, it's just random years to me. Again, my copy never explains this shit to me because text is never once translated. The main characters could be fucking cyborg sharks from Venus, and I would never know. Well, anyway, Tomoko and Takiko run into another one of this movie's characters, Kanai, played by Akira Kubo, another Godzilla regular. He's wearing his homemade spacesuit, and the two girls talk to him for a minute before he leaves. He's working to be an astronaut, and if you can't tell by his introduction with his weird-ass spacesuit, this film is gonna get weird. After that, Tomoko comes home to reporters flocking around her like a seagull when it sees a french fry. She runs through her house only to find out about her father's death in another rather emotional scene. This movie straddles the line between extremely dumb and weird and way the fuck dark every 5 minutes or so. Oh hey look, it's Tomoko's grandfather, played by Takashi Shimura, also known as our good friend Dr. Yamane in the first two Godzilla movies, and Zen's boss in Mothra. It then cuts to some Japanese government people talking about the deaths of the astronauts we saw earlier, when another person by the name of Dr. Kono comes in to deliver the bad news that Gorath is going to collide with Earth any minute now, like a cat sliding down a curtain. After some back and forth, they end up deciding to work with the UN, or as President Baxter Harris once called it,
I'm here today at the,
It cuts to a military base, and just look at that beautiful miniature right there. Goddamn, Subaraya, you got the goods. Baby, you got it. It cuts to inside the base where we see Kanai and another fellow astronaut mucking about in an anti-gravity chamber, and then another two dudes getting tested in some way, when they all run out of the building because their captain is here, and they need to know if their mission to observe Gorath is cancelled or not. Oh hey look, it's the dude who played the reporter in the first Godzilla movie, Sachio Sakai. When Kanai and his military buds, who really don't say or do much, seriously they're just furniture in this movie, talk to their captain, they can't get a straight answer out of him. So they casually steal the helicopter he rode in on, and take a joyride over to the guy who would know about the possible mission cancellation. The flight over there consists of all of them singing some song with no subtitles for some reason, and shaky cam that kinda makes me feel sick. Honestly, this whole scene of them singing really breaks the pace of this movie and just goes on for way too long. They go to see the mission's director, who says that it is not cancelled at all, and he reassures them that everything will go off without a hitch. What was the point of that scene? It does nothing. It just confirms that they're going to observe Gorath. This movie has a few scenes like that should have just been cut down or removed entirely. This and the helicopter scene are some of them. It doesn't affect my enjoyment of Gorath as a movie, but it doesn't mean I didn't wish it flowed better. It then cuts to Gorath taking out a comet.
Hey, Graxx, that was like super cool.
It cuts to Kono and this other guy working with him named Tazawa, as they decide that the only way to avoid Gorath is to move the fucking Earth out of the way. This movie went from completely realistic and grounded to absolutely batshit insane in less than a minute, and I am all for it. It then cuts to Dr. Tazawa at Japan's Diet Building, explaining the devastation that will be caused by Gorath if it collides with Earth. The Diet Building is just this Japanese government building that shows up in a lot of these movies. It's a real place, and these movies absolutely love it for some reason. Tazawa has these super detailed slides and everything depicting the destruction of Earth caused by Gorath, and all I can think about is the poor artist getting the rush order for these slides like the day before the meeting. I don't know, it's just funny to me. Just some poor bastard up until 3 a.m. trying to get these things done in time, hoping that paint dries before they get put on the projector and get it all smudged up. Maybe they got Kishibe Rohan to do it. I bet he could crank that out in time. And then cuts to Kanai's military bros at some kind of party, but Kanai's not there as he's gone over to give Takiko a gift before he leaves, for his space mission. This does not go over well because Takiko is still in love with her dead fiancé, and Kanai is currently in love with her. She rejects his gift, and when she tells him that she believes her fiancé is alive, he tells her that her beloved is dead and throws his picture out the window.
Jeez, what a douchebag. This guy's almost as bad as Kenji from Vera and the Unbelievable.
It then cuts to the UN, where we see the plans of how to move the fucking Earth. Rockets glued to the back of the South Pole that shoot out atomic energy to push the planet ever so slightly out of the way. Throughout all the UN scenes, there's a mix of English-speaking actors and Japanese actors. Unlike Mothra, though, it doesn't end up being distracting, except this one guy with a faux German accent that I cannot understand like 30% of the time.
Is still in the stages of research. Huberman, it is your country that built a heavy hydrogen atomic energy power plant.
What did he say?
It then cuts to ships and helicopters showing up to the Antarctic and building these rockets, and all I can say is that the miniature work is absolutely insane once again. Like, holy crap, they are huge and highly detailed. Toho put the big bucks into this movie, which is funny because their lower budget movie King Kong vs. Godzilla absolutely smoked Gorath in the box office. And just look at Kong. It cuts to a drill or something digging underground, only for the ceiling to collapse. One guy gets got, and 3 of these things plummet into the Earth's core when the ground caves. I'll say 1 person per vehicle. So that's like 3 dudes there. The other vehicles and equipment aren't moving, so I'll just assume they didn't have anyone inside. So that's like 4 dudes total. Our scientist friends look out of an underground tunnel at the destruction, and a pretty cool shot. Really solid comping for the time. The matte painting used for the other side, not so much. After some minor discussion, the guys over at the UN make the decision to take the tunnels and push them somewhere else.
We should take Bikini Bottom and push it somewhere else!
It cuts to the crew of a rocket ship now dubbed the JX-2, where Kanai gets in this escape pod looking thing inside of the ship to go explore Gorath. He sees some weird colors explode and then comes back with amnesia.
That was not on my bingo card for the day. One second, let me check my horoscope. Maybe it'll be right for the 2nd time ever.
What is this movie, Rodan? Well, both movies were directed by Ishiro Honda, and the guy who wrote the screenplay for this also co-wrote the screenplay for Rodan. So I guess it makes sense. I don't know why he was jonesing to do an amnesia subplot again, but I guess you do you, boo. I like how when Kanai approaches the star, the model of Gorath is very clearly wobbling because it's just a model on a piano wire. I don't know why, I just find that kind of funny. It completely ruins the illusion of scale. This amnesia subplot, despite being completely out of nowhere and completely insane, is a fun and rather shocking scene.
I'm not against it, but if I had a nickel for every time a character in a Toho movie got amnesia from seeing a cosmic horror, I'd have 2 nickels. Which isn't a lot, but it's weird it happened twice, right?
It cuts to the world watching their TVs as they prepare for the Earth to be moved in one of the dumbest yet coolest plots I've ever seen in a movie. The jets go alight in a legitimately cool scene as everyone cheers. The Earth is saved. Sometime later, Kono talks to Tomoko's grandfather about his fears of this escape from Gorath, as according to him, very little can actually be done, and even the UN knows that the Earth will most likely be destroyed. This whole pushing the Earth thing is kind of just a last-ditch effort, according to him. Tazawa is also there, but he's talking with Tomoko in another rather emotional scene where he breaks down and cries in front of her about the Earth being destroyed. She reassures him that everything will be alright, and they hug. Ah, love. It cuts to the UN the next day, as 2 security guards are doing some building checks, when this guy bursts in.
What the f*** is that?
Meet Megama, the most notorious part of this film. Megama is a giant walrus thing that awoke when the Antarctic ice was melted, thereby freeing him from a cryogenic slumber, much like Walt Disney whenever the power goes out, and the Imagineers have to fight his reanimated corpse under the ruins of Discovery Island. The US release infamously removes Megama from Gorath almost entirely. He can be seen in like 1 shot though, so I guess that kinda counts for something. Technically, it's still a monster movie. Although unlike you American pig dogs, I love Megama for how stupid he is. Not to mention he's the reason why this movie's even connected to Godzilla in the first place. Megama was possibly played by Haru Nakajima and Katsumi Tezuka, although this is disputed and no one's entirely sure who was in the Big Ripper suit. I just thought I'd mention that. And just as soon as Megama shows up, he is killed. Again, I love Megama. He's so useless and weak. Motherfucker woke up from a nap and the humans just blasted his ass back to the Stone Age. Like, it takes a few shots to put him down, but this dude wouldn't even survive against Varen, let alone Godzilla. His jet's got some blood though, so that's cool, I guess. It cuts to the JX2's crew as they watch Gorath's gravitational pull literally steal Saturn's rings in one of my all-time favorite shots of any disaster movie. Then the spaceship lands and it cuts to two men showing up at Takiko's apartment with Kanai. But I don't care about her finding out about his amnesia. I want to talk about that cool miniature outside her window. Look at that thing. It's so gosh darn magnificent. It's huge and it's detailed, and the shot where the camera pulls back from the window and into the apartment is so cool. This movie is just so gorgeous. But I digest. Tomoko and Takiko end up taking Kanai to Tomoko's grandfather's place up in the mountains. As the Earth moves away, Gorath approaches and destroys the freaking moon, much like a certain race of rats in Warhammer. The tides rise as the star approaches, and the sea goes absolutely nuts. Like, they take out whole cities. It takes out a train. I don't know how many people were on it. At least 2 conductors, so let's put that on the count. The miniatures during the flood are just wicked cool. This is the stuff right here. Like, just look at the military base as it, like, collapses in on itself and goes into the ground. Look at those houses as they fall off that mountain so elegantly, like a swan flying headfirst into a semi-truck's windshield. After the city implodes on itself, Kanai is looking at the TV as Gorath approaches, and sees the same weird light shit as before and now has his memory back.
I'm not against it, but if I had a nickel for every time a character in a Toho movie got their memories back after seeing the thing that caused them to get amnesia in the first place, I'd have 2 nickels, which isn't a lot, but it's weird it happened twice, right?
The Earth has finally moved out of the way enough for Gorath to pass, and everyone celebrates. Talk about threading the needle. Tomoko, Takiko, and Kanai look over at a flooded Tokyo, and Kanai says that they can build a new Tokyo. They have the technology. What will happen to Earth now, you may ask? Well, it's decided to just build rockets on the other side of the planet and just move it a second time. The end.
Well, that was Gorath. But before I get to my final thoughts, let's get to the death. 36 dudes and 1 Magma died in Gorath, giving us a total of 37. I'll give coolest death to the opening 30 guys, although they did kind of bloat our pie chart here. But it was still a really cool death, and ultimately it was the most emotional scene in the movie, so I mean, I give it to him. Layman's death will go to those train fuckers, though, because I don't know how many were on that train. I just guessed 2, because there'd have to be at least 2 conductors, so... Back to review. Okay, now that we're done with the death, let's talk about Gorath. Overall, I absolutely love this movie. This movie is just amazing. It does not give a fuck about realism. It is just complete insanity. It speeds by so fast. The first half is relatively grounded in reality. It's pretty well rooted in, realism and scientific sciences and all that. And the second half just goes, fuck it, let's just throw everything at the wall. It is insane. I love it for that. I love all the cool miniatures and all the cool effect shots. I have seen a lot of disaster movies in my day, and this is by far my favorite, just for the fact it goes all the way. Not enough disaster movies go all the way. I mean, there are some that go all the way, but God, this one goes all the way. I love the fact that Magma just comes out of nowhere. I love how stupid and weak he is. The pacing, however, it's not great. Sometimes there's quite a few scenes where you just go, okay, get on with it. Come on, buddy. Spit it out. Come on, we don't need this. We don't need all this shit right here. Come on, just spit it out. Spit it. I like that the film doesn't really have any real main characters. You just follow a bunch of different people with different perspectives. I also like the fact that it doesn't feel the need to have a shoehorned-in villain. So many movies feel the need to have a villain. It's like, do we need a villain? Can we just have a movie? Ishiro Honda, the director, was not a religious man. In fact, he simply believed in humanism, which is the idea of people coming together for the greater good. Basically, the man believed in peace, and this movie 100% feels like that. A lot of his movies have that theme, and this is probably one of the most overt ones that he's had a theme like that in. I really enjoy that aspect of the film. I think it's really nice to see a movie where it is just people trying their best to succeed even when things look dire. It's nice to see that. Again, I'm glad it did not feel the need to shoehorn in a villain. And Magma doesn't count. Magma was not a villain. He was a victim. He was a victim, much like Rodan. He was a victim. A victim. But yeah, I really enjoy that the fact that there just isn't a villain. It's nice to see that for once. I actually really recommend this movie if you can find it with proper subtitles. Again, I'm like 90% sure this is a bootleg. I got it for $20 on eBay. So, I mean, if you can find it for that price on eBay, I mean, go for it. This movie's awesome. I've seen it like 3 or 4 times now, and I enjoyed it every time I watched it. But yeah, it is definitely kind of a bitch to get your hands on. Toho does not like re-releasing shit in the States for whatever reason. This and King Kong Escapes are 2 of the main ones I can think of. Most of their other stuff they have released through Tokyo Shock. Yeah, Toho is kind of a dick when it comes to releasing stuff. Although I will say this, King Kong Escapes, I don't think that's actually really their fault. That's more of a Universal thing, because Universal has the universal rights to King Kong versus Godzilla and King Kong Escapes in the States. So they can do whatever they want with it. And for whatever reason, they just refuse to release stuff because they don't like making money. Even though I know for a fact, you bundle the 2 Japanese versions of King Kong versus Godzilla and King Kong Escapes, it will make money. It will not become the next fucking Star Wars, but it will make money. Universal, get your ass on this shit. And Toho, get your ass on this shit, because I want an official way to watch this. I want to watch it in actual Blu-ray, where the quality doesn't fluctuate every 2 minutes. This movie is also Ishiro Honda's favorite film that he's ever made, although according to him, it's his favorite, except for that Magama monster. He does not like Magama, which, understandable. But I like Magama. Magama would never actually appear in another Toho movie ever again. He's barely ever referenced. Although he is part of the duology of films Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla and Godzilla Tokyo SOS, which Godzilla Tokyo SOS, fun fact, is the only canonical sequel to Mothra. Like, all the other movies in the Showa era are canonical sequels to Mothra, technically, if Mothra appears. But this one is like an actual sequel to Mothra. And Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla and Godzilla Tokyo SOS also are part of the same universe as a bunch of other Toho movies. The monsters never appear, but in like side books and some other compendiums, it is explicitly stated that stuff like Rodan, Mothra, Varan, War of the Gargantuas, Frankenstein vs. Baragon, all that is canon. Not most of the Godzilla movies, not so much. Like King Kong vs. Godzilla isn't, but King Kong Escapes is. But specifically, there's a bunch of side movies that are canon. Although the monsters of Dogora from the film Dogora and Megama, of course, from Gorath, their movies are not canon, but the monsters are. It's kind of weird. Megama almost did get a second chance, weirdly enough, in the film Destroy All Monsters, although he was very quickly replaced with Baragon, probably because Ishiro Honda does not like Megama. The Star Gorath would actually get a pretty major role in the movie, that being Godzilla Final Wars, where it appears as a meteor that's going to hit Earth. Well, that was Toho's Gorath. It was a very good movie. And now we can finally get to King Kong vs. Godzilla. You like that, don't you? Yeah. King Kong vs. Godzilla, yeah. Got in a 3-pack with Peter Jackson's King Kong and King Kong Escapes. Yeah. What? Oh, you gotta be fucking kidding me. Fuck! I forgot about the Mysterians! Oh my god, that exploded like holy shit!